am an event on the Microsoft Tech community. Have you heard of what an Ask Me Anything is on the tech community?
I have. It's literally where you can ask Microsoft anything.
Yeah, yeah. It's look, I could say it's a bit like how they used to do Yam Jams and how some of the community people do Tweet Jams as well. It is text based, and for this topic, it is going to be an Ask Me Anything for Microsoft Loop. Which is a big deal because there have been lots of questions asked, and if you went along to a certain page for, go to Microsoft 365 as a topic in the community, tech community, and then there's a filter at the top to show events. One of the most popular questions is, where is the Loop app? Do you really? But I'm expecting to hear some news like that, them answering some questions, some setting expectations around public preview and all that. So here's hoping. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people should definitely check that out. I actually participated. I had the greatest opportunity. I participated in a AMA, but I was actually in the room of the people that are answering the questions. I think it was a Yammer AMA. While we were on campus and at Microsoft, and I was able to participate. It's really cool because you have all the experts together and you're like, oh, there's a question, let's take it and tackle it and answer it. So for this opportunity, this is a great one for people to just really find the answer to all those questions they've been having about Loop. So
you do learn to ask a question in a certain way to try and press for an answer. And if you get a pretty stock standard answer back, like say, we don't have that today, or this is a great suggestion, go to aka.ms/. I've always wanted to name the, it's feedback.microsoft.com for the forum, driven by the whatever that Dynamics product. Sorry, Dynamics people. I've always wanted to name the Microsoft Loop forum for that, the feedback loop.
Nice.
Makes sense, right?
It does make sense.
All right, well, let's roll the intro and get stuck in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 269 of the 365 Message Center show, where you get to listen to myself. My name is Daniel, and that over there is Darrell.
Up there.
That over there is Darrell.
Yep.
And we are here. Today is a federal holiday in the States. It is celebration and remembrance of Martin Luther King Jr. here in the United States, a great man, and love to see everybody and have everybody watching the show on today, but happy to be celebrating MLK Jr. How are you, Darrell?
I'm good, Daniel. It's week 2 back at work. Last week was a blur, as it usually is when you get back from a summer kind of holiday. But yeah, I note that we have 4 messages we're going to go through today, and there were other bits and pieces that we could cover, but we selected these 4 especially for you. And can I say it this time, Daniel? I'd like you that while we have carefully selected this menu for you, it would just be greatly appreciated if you would like this episode when you, just the very instant that you thought, that was useful. Oh, that's right, I can like this thing. So that's going to help others to find it. If you want to share and talk about it too, drop a comment and mention it on socials. Mention us. It's 365 MCS. And if you haven't already done so, if you are new here, then do subscribe, because we try and deliver up some opinions, some helpful things that will get you thinking about the messages and try and make sense of it. Click the bell with the ding dong. Yeah.
For the back of your head.
Yeah, so Daniel's throwing up some lower thirds that we used to use occasionally in the show, and he had this thing. You would always mention like a body part that you're going to ding the bell with, like headbutt it, flick it with your finger.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm keeping it fresh, so I don't have to do that every episode now, and I'm just keeping it fresh. So
ran out of body parts.
Maybe we will come back and do something similar.
Yeah, maybe.
So people just need to keep in touch and keep watching. I'd love to see those comments every week on socials, on Twitter and LinkedIn, and love seeing that. So keep it up, people. Really appreciate that.
So, shall we?
We shall. I was about to jump in and say, let's talk about the new experiences coming, Darrell, for Engage. But
Viva Engage, yeah.
Are they?
Well, okay, let's say this, and we mentioned it last week. Daniel and I have a Viva Suite license. Very thankful for that. Lets us explore a few things. Although both of us are experiencing these Viva products in our work environments. But what you'll see as we start to cover some of these messages in our message center, that we'll start to see messages that maybe your organization won't see. And this is one of them.
Now.
If you're not using Viva Suite, then you might not see some of these. We're going to highlight some of them. We're not going to pummel you with everything that we see as well. But we think this one's important to mention. So very briefly, last year we talked about some service plans that were going to appear in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center to be able to license and assign to people to use Viva and various features. And so this is calling ahead to say that those are going to start to become available, and over between February 2023 and March 2023, you'll see them, and it will start to liven up some of the experiences. But Daniel, you and I were talking, and we're going through the list. There's 2 plans that will be livened up. And under each of those plans, it talks about things that will become available. But we're not sure whether they'll be available on day one or whether some of them are going to be coming soon. Is this the kind of post which is just rolling it all up, getting us all excited, and then we're not sure which piece has come in and which isn't? What do you think?
Yeah, so, and the confusion starts right off the bat because the first sentence is, next month, new experiences will be coming. Okay. That kind of makes you think, well, then maybe, the experiences are actually coming, the functionality. But then right after that, it says admins will see new capabilities and service plans in the admin center. And so this is like, well, okay, so is this more about the plans becoming available, right? The service plans? Or is this more about both plans and the capabilities? So that's kind of where on the surface, let's say, if you don't overanalyze, on the surface, I believe it means that during that month that you just mentioned, these experiences, so Leadership Corner, the leader storyline announcements and storyline delegate support, so being able to delegate those responsibilities to an admin, for instance, for leaders, social campaigns, the Viva Engage analytic. Okay, all of those things would be rolling out next month. That's if you read it and don't dig into it and start parsing words.
Yeah.
But then you get to the last bullet there in the list that says, "Asks me anything events coming soon." What in the world does that mean? Coming when soon? What is it coming in the February March timeframe?
Bracket, yeah.
But if it's not, then why even put it in this list other than just to promote it? I don't know. So that's where we're,
Yeah. I kind of want like and I know there is a blog post which actually just harkens back to the announcement of the features at Ignite. But and the ones that Daniel listed off too, these are specific to one of the service plans. The service plan called Viva Engage App and Teams. So that's
the communities.
Engage
And,
yep. Communities, the Yammer, Engage, etc.
Yeah.
Whereas there's another one, Viva Engage Knowledge Service Plan, and that that'll become available. And then it talks about making answers in Viva available. So
which is something we talked about, right? So I you asked, what does this mean? I think on the surface it means The plans will become available, and when the plans are available, you get the stuff too if you have assigned, which you automatically get. Meaning if you have the license, and the license, remember there's a difference between license and service plan, but if you have the license and it's assigned to you, underneath that it'll have service plan, and it'll automatically be checked. You automatically get this.
So that's good to just, as we finish this message off, just highlight that there are some things that as an admin and as an organization you might want to do to prepare, such as, are you going to leave the license and the service plans ticked on and make all of this available, or are you going to progress your way through, let people know about it, prepare for it, and then turn it on? And some of those things, like if admins need to assign licenses, they do. But it also gets into, and we won't explain this through, this could be an episode on its own if we did, and we do an interview with someone to explain it to us. But it hints towards new roles, or roles that you have in your organization that should be picking up those responsibilities. Corporate communicators that should take advantage of creating social media campaigns for the hashtag, or identifying leaders and audiences to pair together to take advantage of the leadership corner capabilities. I'm sure there'll be some learn.microsoft.com documentation. That was quite a mouthful.
Right.
But it's just be aware that this is coming. The service plans will be available, and let's hope it's as simple as we hope. It'll be available.
Let's hope squared.
Yeah,
yep, absolutely.
Hope, circular, self-fulfilling hope.
That's right.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next one. Daniel, it's something about Microsoft Stream.
Indeed it is. It's Microsoft Stream parentheses on SharePoint. So when they do that, that means the new stream. Okay, people? Microsoft Stream on SharePoint. Create, view, and share playlists. MC496926. And this is basically walking through creating a playlist using Microsoft Lists, okay, but selecting there's going to be a template. We've talked about templates before on the show a while back when Microsoft Lists was coming and new templates came along. So there's going to be a new template that is going to be available called Playlists. And if you select that, then you will get this playlist list where you can show your videos. And I say it with some inflection in my voice, some hesitation, because I have questions, Darrell. Because when we have been talking with Mark with the stream team, we see others creating. Mr. Moore created a video, I guess last week, about how to transition from Stream Classic into using SharePoint. We talk about libraries, right? These videos are files, so we put them in a library. But what isn't talked about here, nor is there instructions on how exactly you would do this, but it is using using Microsoft Lists to do this. So I'm assuming the video wowould be an attachment to a list item, or maybe it's a link to.
I would hope it's a link, because an attachment in a list sense in SharePoint means the file is part of the list, right? It becomes.
Right. And it's not even this is a big no-no that 95% of the time you do not want to do attachments in a list because you can't do versioning on. There's lots of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. So, but it says users can add any video or audio files to a playlist that they have access to. So, and it says you can use. They're both built and accessed via Microsoft Lists and can be used and can use other list capabilities.
Right.
I'm just not sure here what this is. What is it that we're looking at? Because this is a list, yes, but where's the file?
Yeah, I think, and as we look down to some of those screenshots, so it does step through some of the process. Here's one
Mm-hmm.
where here's how you create a new item. What does that look like? Add a new item. Okay, so it's like adding a new item to a list. Got it.
Yes.
And then following screen is
You pick a
um,
file.
pick a file. Pick a file. So we pick a file. Now, does that mean it's attaching it or linking it? That's your question. We don't
Yes.
know because the next screenshot it is here's what the list looks like.
Yep.
This item and video over on the right and 2/3 of the screen, and then the next item below would be the same. So it looks like you can view these videos from the list. But yeah, the screenshot we're seeing suggests My Files, which is a OneDrive thing, not
Yeah.
a find your way through to this SharePoint site, which we're now going to use as the modern stream channel, and create your playlist and
Well, and maybe
share it there.
right, and maybe that's because the list was created in My Lists, so you can see
Right.
that in the screenshot as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So maybe that's why it's only My Files. I have no idea. I'm perplexed by this. It seems like either it's doing, hey, add a video as an attachment to this list item, which I think is a bad idea, and I actually don't think that's what it is. Okay, but we just don't have clarity.
Yeah.
Or is it you're creating a playlist to point, and it's just a pointer to a video wherever it is
Yeah.
in SharePoint or OneDrive?
I'm kind of hoping
depending
that's
upon
what
where
it
the list
is
is.
because again, when we were talking earlier, one way that people had begun to create these playlists was you had to have a few more SharePoint skills and use the highlighted content web part and get fancy with your filters and your expressions to get stuff to appear in a
Yeah.
card-like playlist. So this is going to be a friendlier way of doing it, and I'm hoping it is all about pointers and pointing to
Yes,
files.
I agree. I think 82% of my intuition here is saying that's exactly what it is. The rest
Can
is
I get
like,
you up to 85 maybe?
no, I don't think so. I think it would have been nice to have a link to a blog post or something here that gave actually instructions
Yep.
of what's going on.
Definitely.
This is rolling out late January and completed rollout late February. So be looking for that in Microsoft
The next
lists.
couple of weeks.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
the thing, like we should have a document. Especially if it's suggesting at the bottom, the usual, you might want to update your training. Well, we don't know how it happens yet.
Right. We can't train people
dear.
on it. Yes. So let's move along then and talk a little bit about wikis. I mean, this was huge, Darrell. And people were talking about this all over the socials this past week. The wiki retirement. I'm excited about it too. I'm so excited.
And I'm so excited. I deselected it from our favorites list. So it begins with new wiki retirement. There it is. Ha ha! Found you. Right. Yes. As Daniel said, we saw some excitement, some finally expressions, and some, oh great, I'm looking forward to this. Now, Wiki has been a feature since Teams was released, and the Wiki retirement, the Wiki is going to be retired and replaced with OneNote and Teams and channels. The Wiki was commonly used for notes and for pulling things together, and it had the same concept of pages, and everyone had access to it in the team. But it really makes sense to bring OneNote into there as a more mature product and is certainly more versatile than Wiki. As people found, they wanted to be able to edit some of these things and access them in the same way from mobile devices and from their phones, and they just couldn't do it. So this is good news. It is rolling out starting mid-February. And we're all about trying to prepare you and prepare ourselves, of course, because it's a shared journey. Yeah. So we wanted to sort of dig a bit deeper and find out, okay, what is this and what happens? It's not just that every new team is now going to have a OneNote tab or a Note tab instead of a Wiki tab. In fact, the tab is going to be called Notes, no longer Wiki. But we had this animated GIF. Love animated GIFs. However, if it's going to have detail in here that's sort of giving us some suggestion about what to expect, we have to do something like this. We have to grab, and I'll just sort of try and size this up a bit better so it's in the window, but I grabbed the animated GIF, I dropped it into a video editor so I could slow down the frames and actually see what was going on. So at the beginning of our GIF, we have, you will be opening up the Wiki tab, and the Wiki tab will have a nice banner along the top to say, Wiki tabs will be going away in April 2023. You can export your content to a Notes tab. And can continue to use the content. Good. What's the next frame? So the process, if you start that process, it is about exporting the notes to OneNote. It'll take each wiki page and create a page in a OneNote notebook. Pause there. We're not sure which notebook it's going to be creating the pages in, whether it's in the notebook that's part of the team already and the usual team site, or whether it's one that's created especially for this wiki that we're exporting. There'll be formatting changes. The wiki app tab will go to become read-only as part of it, and then Notes should be able to continue to use as a tab in there. So we scroll through, here's the process, exporting 1 of 5 pages. Great, it's finished. And then small writing, I'll have to read it out to you. The pages, I think, just based on what we see on the screen, have magically become part of a notebook, OneNote notebook, in the Notes tab. And there's a bubble that says the content of each wiki page has been saved as a separate page inside the section. Maybe that's our clue. It creates a section for the wiki. Everyone in this channel can edit the content here just as with the wiki. So maybe that's the clue, but like we're seeing for the theme of this week's messages, we'd like to have a little bit more detail. And this last frame, Daniel, before I pass on to... Whoa, hang on, that's a bit deep. Let's form our sentences in our minds before we say them. The last frame in this GIF is just showing you that read-only state of the wiki once it has been transferred through to a OneNote notebook.
Well, I think the biggest thing here, though, Darrell, is for me, there's like, is it going to be using an existing notebook or new one? Okay, yes, valid question. But is that this isn't an automatic thing, apparently. It does not appear to have any sort of admin, I want to push a magic button that does this for all teams.
Yeah.
This is user-driven. And what user? Is this... That's another thing. Like, is this admins only, or is this members of the team? Because it just says users have an option to export. So what if you're in a team and some random, person on the team, not random, but, somebody in the team just goes over and clicks the button. Now you can't use the wiki. What if everyone is weird? Everyone else in the team loves wiki. See what I did there? They're weird because anyway. I know there's a lot of people that like wiki. I just know there's a majority that don't. That's my opinion. But anyway, it just, so it's users driving it. Is it admins? Is it members? Is it both? Is it, and one person does it, then it does it for everybody? So
yep. Yeah, it is.
It does.
And thinking about content and what members can and cannot edit, well, they can create notebooks. They can go in and edit the wiki already. So I expect that a member of a team, doesn't have to be an admin, or an owner, I should say, will be able to trigger this process. The key thing here is if they do that as a, what does this do? And there hasn't been any kind of warning or preparation for the people who might use that wiki.
Right.
That's what you got to take care of.
Well, think about a team with like 20 people.
Yeah.
And one person missed the meeting where this was talked about. Hey, let's not convert the wiki just yet because blah, blah, blah. So there's, a bunch of people in there editing the wiki. And then that one person goes in there and goes, convert. And while they're editing, it gets converted maybe.
Whoops.
And
yeah,
their edits are not saved. I don't know. Anyway, let's just not fool around with it. People, go in there to every one of your teams and click the button.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
And tell us what happens when you do it, because
Yes.
we don't know yet.
Remember, 365 MCS on all the socials.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Daniel told me to do it, and
That's right.
the warranty period is now no, it's all right.
Do it.
Look, in short, my prediction, it's going to create a section, because it hints to that, with the terms section in your existing OneNote that everyone can get access to. Doesn't have to create a new one. Brings the pages over.
You know what, Darrell?
Tell me what.
All those people who go out and try this, give me a call. Let me know.
Why not?
And if I miss your call, then guess what? I'm going to know about it, and I'm going to be able to call you back directly within Teams.
Did you just do your own segue?
I sure did.
Because it's your message.
Actionable missed call notification inactivity MC497317. This is what I just described. You get a call in Teams and you miss it, or you ignore it because you're busy and you don't want to deal with that. Then in your activity, not only are you going to see the item there, but there's going to be a nice call button. You're going to be able to click it and call directly back from there. That makes sense, right? It totally makes sense to be able to just click, oh, I missed call from Babak. I can call Babak
back. It was coming. I had to say it myself.
I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. It just... Anyway, so, I mean, I think that's cool, right? I mean, direct action. So that's rolling out mid-January, so now-ish, and expected to be completed by late January. So that for preview, and then standard is early February to mid-February. So we're going to get this pretty quick. And there's no, like, changes or anything. It's just going to get a call button there. You can click on it and call them back.
I know in the screenshot it shows a landline or mobile number, but I think the button will also be there if you miss a call from a colleague or a federated customer or partner.
I agree. Yeah.
The button will be, call this person back. They tried to get a hold of you. Yeah.
Indeed.
Sure. Well, Daniel, that was a great depth, right? I felt informed. I felt like we discussed things and we gained knowledge from our banter and from the great value that people offer into the chat as well. So, again, we just thank you for participating and being part of it.
Absolutely. And we want to just remind you, of course, to follow us on all the socials. And what did you think? Tag us at 365MCS and tell us what you thought about these items. What do you think about stream in the list? Are we right? Is it just a pointer, or is this an uploading a document or uploading a video into a list? Give us a shout. Let us know what you think. What about the Viva Engage experiences and some of the questions we had there and that we brought out? What do you think? Start a conversation. We'd love to engage with you. We'll banter back and forth with you. I promise.
Yeah, we will, because we have our notifications turned on for 365 MCS. We share the responsibility. Maybe I shouldn't have admitted to that, but so it is.
Maybe not.
Yeah, but thanks again, everyone, for being with us this week, and we hope you have a great week as things change. Hopefully you're more informed, and let's take that journey together as we do. See you again.
Bye-bye.